Evening, lads and lassies. Evening. How are we? Wednesday evening. 2 streams in 2 days. Not bad going, isn't it? Not bad going. Pretty much, actually. I think streamed yesterday was Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, and I streamed on what day was it? Sunday. Yeah, I streamed Sunday as well. So, man, I've been like unrivaled in here. Been streaming every other day. Let's get a few people in the chat and see what we have to talk about tonight. Let's see what we'll talk about this evening. Usyk versus Joyce. I see Chisora recently called for the Joseph Parker fight. That, I hope, happens. I'm starting to think more likely we're going to see that in April. Seriously. I'm starting to think more likely we're going to see that in April. I'm going to call this now, right? I think Parker is going to beat Junior Fa, right? But I reckon that Eddie Hearn wants to launch that DAZN app in New Zealand, right? He wants to launch it in New Zealand. Well, I think DAZN want to launch it as opposed to Eddie Hearn. They want to launch that app in New Zealand and the Oceanic region, all right? That's a big fight in the New Zealand region because Joe Parker is a big star in New Zealand. That's fact. He's a big star in New Zealand. And also, they tend to, they'll flock for that fight. They'll have fans in attendance. They'll want that fight, right? But I reckon Eddie Hearn, one sec. There we go. I reckon Eddie Hearn wants to do that Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora fight. Because even now, I'd still watch it. Would I pay to watch it? Probably not. Even if the undercard is good, probably not. The only issue I have with that being on pay-per-view, if they do, you're dealing with a fighter coming off the back of a loss, and you're dealing with a fighter who, at this level, at elite level, has come up short. So I don't know exactly how I'd feel if they put that on pay-per-view. In fact, they shouldn't put it on pay-per-view. It should be just a normal standalone fight night. But look, I'm accepting the fact that this year we are likely going to see, if they both win, we're likely going to see Conor Benn versus Josh Kelly on a pay-per-view. I've come to terms with that fact. We're probably going to get some dud pay-per-views this year. Pay-per-views that in years gone by will be a Sky Fight Night. Seriously. That's what seriously is going to happen. That's what I reckon is going to happen. So Parker versus Chisora could be happening. You got Usyk versus Joyce. That could be happening in April. I reckon that would be on BT Sport pay-per-view. There's some, look, January's been an absolute stinker of a month, right? It's been a stinker of a month for boxing. But it's like that most years, right? Like last year, we had very few shows. We had Munguia versus Spike O'Sullivan. We had Lemieux versus, or not Lemieux, we had, what's the guy's name again? Demetrius Andre versus Luke Keeler. Who else did we have in the month of January? Not many. Look at 2018, no fights on in the month of January. Okay, this is normal time. No fights on in the month of January. So January is always a bit of a dud month for boxing, right? It's always been, even in the good times, it's been a dud month for boxing. So you gotta take that on board. So for me, February is when boxing really kind of comes back after Christmas and we get started. So I'm looking for, I reckon we're going to get good fights this year. I reckon we're still going to get good fights. I think the fighters have learned now that they have to accept it. If they aren't going to get as much as they want, if they want, like, you know, what they want, you know, if they aren't going to get as much as they want, they're just going to have to accept that. So, because do you remember when boxing came back first, we heard names like Buatsi, I think we heard other names as well, saying that, you know, they wanted to hold out until, you know, we could get fans back because they didn't want to take a hit. They didn't want to take as big a hit as they would, you know, were going to get. But I think now they've come to the realization that actually, you know what, we just gotta go along with this. We gotta run with this. So it's good. I reckon we're going to get some good fights. I still think we're going to get them. Yo, big up to Tony every time. What's good, G? Big up to you, man. Big up to Rich. Big up to G-Man. Hashtag G-Man's Rocks. Of course, you got to get that in there. Have you seen Dave Allen's recent pick looking in bad shape? Yeah, I have actually. I've seen a pic that was shared on Twitter. He's looking, yeah, I think he said in a recent interview he's over 20 stone. I mean, Dave Allen, and then he still talks about, you know, you can tell in his voice that he does, I think deep down he does want to come back. I do think deep down in his heart of hearts, maybe there is a part of him that wants to come back, but I mean, because he was alluding to the fact that, yeah, I'm pretty bad shape. I'm about 20 odd stone. Maybe I should get back in shape for, something that might come about. And it's like, you want to get back to the ring, don't you? You want to get back to the ring, don't you? Look, I fully expect to see Dave Allen in a ring again. I do. I do. I think he'll be back in the ring. This year at some stage, seriously. But Dave Allen, I mean, look, Dave Allen is someone who I wouldn't have that much time for, but he always talks about, not feeling the best. I think the fact that he lets himself go so bad in between, like literally, he's put on serious amounts of weights in between fight before. I think maybe if he kept himself in a bit better shape, his mood would be a lot better all year round. Because he's always said he's had an issue with this, with that. I reckon he just, seriously, like I've gone through some bad things in my life, even last year, right? Start of last year was a really hard time for me. And yeah, I let things go a bit. Like if you saw some of those videos, my hair was all over the place and I had a bit of a beard, but I still kept myself in shape. So I think maybe Dave Allen's missing the trick with that. And if it's a little echoey tonight, sorry, I'm doing this in my bedroom again because it's comfy up here. It's actually quite nice up here doing it in the bedroom. Doing it in the bedroom. That's the choice of words. Big up to Halim, good evening. Big up to JPK. Big up to the judge, good evening from the judge. Big up. Big up. Big up to Dean every single time. Big up to you, man. Smash the like button. Lads, if you could, lads and lassies, if you could smash the like button, be much appreciated, just so you know. It helps out the guys in YouTube. It recommends the channel. It does a lot, believe you me. I used to always wonder why people used to always say, smash the like button. But believe me, it helps out. It helps out a hell of a lot. Big up to Penny. Even Mush, I'll start again. Hope you're all sound. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It is brilliant. Things have been going well the last few weeks. Like really, really well. Really well. Nothing's changed too much. But just don't know. I went into 2021 with just the feeling this is going to be a good year. Just with that feeling. But I just had the feeling this year is going to be strange in a good way. Like in a good way. Like I didn't really have much of a feeling going into 2020. But this year I just have the feeling that it's going to be good but strange. Strange in a good way. So God knows what that means. If it's what I think, man, I'm hoping. You go for Ben against Josh Kelly. Do you know what, right? I'm going back and forth. It all hinges on how Josh Kelly looks against Avanesian. But I just think the experience of Josh Kelly would pay dividends against Conor Benn, And Conor Benn, I remember watching him. I watched his pro debut. His pro debut was on the undercard of Joshua versus Charles Martin. For those who don't know, a little bit of fact there. His pro debut was on the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Charles Martin. And I'll never forget it. I looked at it and I just thought, oh my God, this guy's got a long way to go. And pro debuts, you can never really, you give him the benefit of the doubt. But then I seen him after that and I was just like, and then you see him when I watched him against that Paynow guy, and he was dropped a couple of times, no regard for defense, and he was just wanting to get into this macho contest. I was just looking at it and I was just thinking, oh, good Lord. The guy, and I've nothing against the guy, I just thought he's just not going to go anywhere, but he has improved exponentially. Exponentially he has, So I'd give him a shot against Josh Kelly, but I just think that you can't buy the experience. I think the experience is going to, will pay dividends in the long run. Just look at it on the dodgy box. It's free. I didn't pay for fights in years. Oh, mate, I see people all the time advertising them as well. Do you know that? And when was the last time I paid for a fight? I paid for Povetkin versus Dylan White. I paid for that. I definitely paid for that. I haven't paid for one since. I just go on to and I go on to, bit like what Dean says here, a cracking fight, a cracking website, Make it out what you will, lads. Make it out what you will. Cracking all the way. Chisora versus Parker. Yeah, I seen the poster. Actually, I'll see if I can get it here. I seen the poster that he put up, unfinished business. Joseph Parker decided he wanted to, jump into Tobey Maguire's body, play Spider-Man. Obviously, he didn't get the part. That's why he pulled out of the first fight. But, you know, I'd obviously love to see I'd obviously love to see it happen. Because I still think that's on paper, that's a good fight. You know, yeah, unfinished business. War Chisora, Joseph Parker. I mean, yeah, I'll take that. And that's actually quite a good pick he has. 100% I'd watch that fight. I think that fight would be fun to watch. I think that fight would be great to watch. Seriously, I think that fight would be great to watch. I think like Chisora would be relentless, and I think that with Parker, see, Usyk has the movement. Parker can move as well, right? But he can't. He's not as light as Usyk. He's not as fleet-footed as Usyk. And with Joe Parker, okay, Joe Parker is obviously a much bigger man than Oleksandr Usyk naturally. But when Parker is in the 230s, I think he is a much better fighter than when he comes in the 240s. When you see him in the 240s, he is very plodding. He is very slow. His feet aren't quite the same. His hands are still quick, but it's the foot speed. He was in the mid 240s against Hughie Fury, and I thought he won the fight. It was a stinker, but I thought he won. He looked very, very plodding. He looked horrible that night. He really did. He looked absolutely shocking that night against Hughie Fury. Even though he won, Hughie Fury was just so damn negative. I mean, if that version of Joseph Parker turned up against Anthony Joshua, he would have got knocked out. Even though Joshua was cagey, if that Parker turned up, he would have got knocked out. Definitely. So Parker, I'm going to touch on these all tomorrow as well. I'm off all day tomorrow, so I'm going to do a few videos on these, and you'll get a bit more clarity. You know, I'll be in the chair. You know, I'll have everything around me because I'm stuck in the bedroom doing this again. I don't mind. It's actually quite nice up here. You know, it actually is really, really nice up here. The TV going in the background. Hope that didn't pick up anything. No, it's nothing. No, there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it. So it's not going to pick up anything. That's grand. But G-Man, you think fights like Mayweather and Jake Paul hurt boxing? I don't think they're good for boxing now. I mean, when they were doing the KSI Logan Paul thing, that was kind of a little niche kind of setup. It was a bit kind of, you know, it was a little bit of a laugh. You know, it got a few casual fans in. But now they're just taking the piss. I think now they're just absolutely taking the absolute piss with it. And I think they need to just do away with it. I mean, like, they said that Floyd fight got pushed back due to lack of interest. I mean, I could no more have wanted to watch that fight. No more could I think anyone would have wanted to watch that fight. I mean, a YouTuber who is not, I never heard of Jake Paul up until last year. And he is not a likable chap. That's what I'll say about Jake Paul. He does not come across to me as a very likable chap, whether it's an actor or not. He really doesn't come across as a stand-up guy. That's how I'll call it. That's how I'll call it. Hope so, G-Man. Get good fights this year. Yeah, man, I think we'll get good fights this year. Though. I'm optimistic that we'll get good fights. Hopefully, I'll get to go over to a few because I haven't been to a fight. Oh, I haven't been to a fight now since 2019. And last year was a write-off. I couldn't get to any. But I like to get to at least 1 to 2 fights a year live. Whether they're big fights or small hall shows, I like to get to at least 2 a year live. Just for the experience. The experience is fun. I have to say it, I much prefer the big events to the small hall shows. The small hall shows are nice, but goddamn, they're expensive. You know? I spent more money going to a small hall show in Cork 2019, than I did going to Fury versus Pianetta in Windsor Park. Seriously, people. Seriously. Your phone having a mare? Nah, my phone is working fine. As long as my phone stays good, we're all good. We're all good. Okay, here we go. Who is Jamal Charlo going to fight next realistically? It's not going to be Andre Eubank Golovkin. So what big name can they get? It's an interesting one for Charlo, you know? They might end up seeing who they could bring up from 154. If they could bring anyone up there, I don't know. But Charlo, to me, like, I like Charlo, I do. But where he is on PBC in the middleweight division, it's not, all the action is on the zone, basically. Well, you got Triple G on the zone. It's not be him. You got Andre on the zone. Not going to be him. Eubank has gone to Sauerland. So he's no longer. Do you remember that was the fight they were planning on getting? They wanted that fight, but I don't know. Whenever they'd ask Eubank about it, 1 minute he'd be all about Charlo, and then he'd be saying Canelo. So for me, it was always like he wants the big fights with Canelo, Golovkin, as opposed to a Charlo fight, because I reckon that was the plan all along, was to have Eubank and Charlo fight in the same card, do that fight in 2020. And I don't think, I'm not going to say he was like ducking or anything like that, no, but I don't think it was ever fully. Eubank wanted other things. That's what I think. I think Eubank wanted to do different. He wanted to go a different direction. So that's what I think of that. G-Man, what do you think of FA Ajagba be a threat to the heavyweight? To the current heavyweights, Ajagba needs a hell of a lot of work, mate. A hell of a lot of work. I think the FA Ajagba, Jesus, seriously, he needs about 2 years. 2 years, and I think he's even said it himself. He looked good early on in his career fighting over match guys. You know, he really did. He looked very good. I was very keen. I was keeping my eye on him. But the more I started watching him, the more I started stepping up, you started noticing the little flaws that were there. And I think that I'm not saying he can't. He definitely has a bit of athleticism. There's definitely punching power there. But he needs a hell of a lot of work. Like, I forget, who was the guy he fought last? Oh, I can't remember. The guy went the distance with Yoka. He's not a bad fighter, actually. What's the guy's name? Get his ball, open up FA Ajagba's box rec here, and we'll have a look-see, because I forget the guy's name. Someone will, by the time I actually probably find it, someone will have already commented in the chat what it is, probably waiting to see. But I remember him fighting the guy. Now, the guy he was slick, you know, he was good at surviving. But Jonathan Rice, that was the guy's name. Now, there was moments in that fight, right, the Jonathan Rice fight, where you just thought to yourself, if Jonathan Rice could really, really punch, FA Ajagba would be in trouble, because he was very sloppy defensively. He was boring in with his head wide in the air like that. He's only been stopped twice by Arslan Makhmedov. I always get his name wrong. Always get his name wrong. And he's a serious contender. I'd say contender. And Dempsey McCann. That was on a TKO in the 10th round. And literally with 2 seconds to go in the 10th round. So Jonathan Rice is tricky. All right, he is. So Ajagba, there's a good fighter in there, but he needs a lot of work. That's what I will say. 20 stone. According to Dave Allen, and looking at the picture that he uploaded, he looked every bit to 20 stone. I mean, like, he looked, you know, bursting at the seams. I mean, he had a shirt off, and like, he had a proper, I don't think he drinks, but it looked like a beer gut. It wasn't obvious. I don't think it's true alcohol. It's probably just down to KFC, but it was a proper, you know, beer gut. That's what I noticed about it. So, you know, it's not good. And it's like that. You see, that was the thing about Dave Allen that used to wreck my head so much. He'd be in a fight, right? He'd have a boxing match, and then he'd be like, "Oh, right, yeah, I've done this boxing match. Now it's time to stay in shape and, you know, take this serious." And then he'd go away for a few months and be like, "Yeah, I just wanted to get fat." I was like, "What?" And now you're kind of back to square one. You're taking fights on short notice, and you're about 30 pounds overweight. And and then you're kind of saying, you know, you don't get these opportunities. It's like, come on, man. I mean, how many opportunities? Like, back in 2017, I was really, really, really rooting for Dave Allen back then. Because I actually kind of liked him. I thought, you know, it's a guy who was fighting on small hall shows, who'd no real amateur experience, trying to make something. And I was up for him when he fought, what's the guy's name? Thomas. But after that, it just seemed like just one thing after another. And after that, it's just like, if you get so many opportunities and you keep squandering them, it's like, what can you really do? Like, what do you really have to say? Like, I mean, like, as I always say, those who do not learn from history, doomed to repeat. It's a great quote. And, you know, if you know, right, this went wrong this time, why are you doing it again, you know? Why are you doing it again, you know? That's one thing I've learned, especially, that's one thing 2020 taught me, you know? Don't make the goddamn same mistake twice. Learn from it and move on. Draw a line in the sand and don't dwell on the goddamn thing. Dave Allen is done out here. He's not serious. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I'm serious. I don't think you should. I think Dave Allen is a year and a half older than me. Or he's a year and a half older than me. But He's 28, I'm 27. And I mean, he's probably aged about 10 years in the space that I've aged 6 months, literally. And that's not uncommon, you know. I mean, I've said this before, that like I've known people who are like 3 years younger than me, and damn, they look about what, 5, 6 years older than me, like in their mid-30s. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it. Dave Allen is apparently 287. That's shockingly bad. Yeah, it is. It is shockingly bad. I just don't know. I just don't know how we do it. I just don't know how he does it. It's a shame about Rhino. That's what it is, bro. That's what it is. I called you, bro. That's what it is, Penny. That's what it is. With this lockdown shit, if you aren't in the best place, it's pretty easy to put on weight. These things affect people differently. You lost 7 stone in the last 9 months, wasted another 14 on top of that. Jesus, bro. Yeah, it is. It's hard with the no gyms. Like I had to resort to running and lifting, you know, kind of just light weights here, which is not ideal. I do like going to the gym, which I do miss. I miss that the most of all. I miss going after work to the gym, lifting some weights, coming home. I know myself moving forward that if things go the way they hopefully will, I maybe have to cut back on that. And I have to cut back on a few things because I won't have the time. Well, I probably will until everything's lifted. But after that, God knows what might happen. Gee, I got footage of Coach Asgara. I always get that name wrong. Sorry, bro. With Tyson Fury doing his body shots. Man, I'd love to see it. Definitely love to see it. Big up to him, man. Big up to him. He's got a nice little stable of fighters up in MTK training away. You know, Josh Taylor. I think he trains with Lee McGregor, doesn't he? He's got a good few guys up there. But wasted it means I put on then lost. Oh, there's nothing worse than that. Josh Kelly experience. Ben, he's hungry to get his name. To be honest with you, it is a good little fight. It is a good little fight. I think it's closer than it was. Like, I mean, do you remember this fight was being talked about at the start of 2019, I want to say? And I mean, when that was talked about back then, I looked at that and was just like, what? I thought it was just random. And I was just like, what? What are you calling out Josh Kelly for? But now the longer it's gone, the more I'm thinking, actually, I can, reasonably see it. It's still a good fight, don't get me wrong. It's still a very good fight. I would just make Josh Kelly favourite, though, personally. Dave Allen will back fight. He has the right pay. Already messed up his speech. He's 28. Yeah, his speech is that's a worry, though. Like, that to me, when you're only 20, like, he's a year older than me. And he's been speaking, he's not been speaking the greatest for a couple of years now. Like, you look at his interviews, because there's interviews with Dave Allen from 2012 and 2013, and it's night and day. You can noticeably hear the difference. And that's always a worry. Like, whenever I look at fighters, like, because you can even look at other fighters, and you look at someone like Kevin Mitchell, right? And you see his old interviews, and he's just talking normally, and you hear him now, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's a shame about Rhino, but you gotta keep on touch of your health. You know what, but always go with your gut feeling. Things will be okay. I always go with my gut. My gut feeling has paid off so many times in the past. It's not even. I sometimes wonder, seriously, like when I just had this feeling like this. It's bizarre. Like, I don't know if I should tell you about that. Maybe I'll keep this one a bit secret. Maybe I'll keep this story for another time. But it was a weird one. It was a good feeling experience. True experience counts. It does indeed. Lads, if you could, smash the like button, please. If you could, smash the like button. 40 people in the chat. Jared Thompson, nice stream. Keep it up. Nice keeping this up with the streams. Yeah, man. I like doing the streams. God, I love doing the streams. Love doing the streams. Joshua Fury, who do you think will win? Right, mate, I'm going to tell you straight. I got Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury for me. Oh, fuck. So, oh, no. Yeah, wait 1 sec. I don't get why this PC of mine is just an absolute... It's annoying sometimes. Cracking. Yeah, no better website. No better website. All the fights, they are cracking. They are cracking. Long time. Big up. Experience everything. Realize today, 34 years in the sport. Growing old, however, is a gift if you look after yourself. That's what I've said. 27, and I look better than people who are 24, 25. And I don't mean that in a vain sense, as in, oh, I'm massive, but I mean, like, in terms of just aging. I've seen people age terribly, who are younger than me. Seriously, it's crazy. I don't know how they do it. Big up to George C. I'm late. Did we hear which fight G-Man will watch between? No, you haven't. For those who are wondering, because I left you on a bit of a cliffhanger in my video today, if they were both on at the exact same time, I would definitely go with Canelo versus Saunders. Why? Because I like watching Canelo. Even though I think Taylor Ramirez will be entertaining, I love watching Canelo. All right? That's just the way I am. I love watching Canelo. So that's the fight I would watch. It will be the one I would. I hope it doesn't come to that. Am I doing when are you going to do a live phone stream? Oh Jesus, man, that could be a while off. I don't even know how to do one of them, to be honest with you, mate. I don't know. Having a breeze how to do a live phone stream, man. That could be having a breeze. If you get your visa for Billy Joe versus Canelo. US might not be the most straightforward to enter these days, though, like most countries. What do I think of Dalton Smith as a prospect? He looks okay. I haven't seen that much of him, but I look forward to seeing him. Is it next week he's fighting? Is he fighting on the Josh Warrington card? Because I know that's the fight card that's on next week. And next week is a good week for boxing. We've got plenty of good fights on. Smith versus Maxime Vlasov. That's the fight I'm looking forward to. I can't make a prediction on that fight. I'm going back and forth constantly about that fight. I don't know who to go for. My heart is telling me Smith. My head is telling me Vlasov, because I just think stylistically it's going to be a great fight. But I just think people maybe look at Vlasov and think, oh, but maybe, Smith's improved, but Vlasov is very good, throws a lot of punches, has a decent chin. Definitely not. He's only got like a 50% KO ratio, but he hits a lot harder than that. Look at him at cruiserweight. I mean, I remember his fight against Rakhim Shakayev. She bounced Rakhim Shakayev up and down off the canvas. He was actually down himself in that fight, but he bounced Shakayev up and down off the canvas for 6 rounds. I think he had him down in every round. And this is a guy who's campaigning at light heavyweight. This is a man who's weighed in over 200 pounds for some of his fights. He's not a small cruiserweight. I'm amazed how he even makes light heavyweight, to be honest with you. Serious, I'm amazed he makes light heavyweight. And he stopped guys like Oladora Dola at cruiserweight. This guy was good. Man, this guy was good. So him coming up against Joe Smith, man, I think that I don't know. I just don't know, man. It's a fight I'm definitely going to watch. Going to watch. But I really I can't make up my mind who I think will win that fight, though. That's why I'm looking forward to it. That's why I'm excited for it. But I just cannot make up my mind who's going to win that fight. Do you think we'll ever see AJ versus or Jagba versus the AJ fight, AJ or Fury? Possibly one now. But I think with AJ Fury, I've said this once, I'll say it again. I really do genuinely believe the winner of that 2 fights, because I reckon it'll be 2 fights. I do believe the winner of those 2 fights will likely retire. Maybe have 1 fight and retire after that. Seriously, they might maybe have 1 fight then retire. Because I don't know if they'll stick around for it. I don't know if they'll stick around any longer. If they've already beaten the man, they're undisputed, they've been undisputed. I don't know. I don't know if they'd stick around too long. They would have made an absolute heap of, like, I mean, I'm talking Christmas every day for the next 100 years type of cash. Seriously. I'd rather watch, what was that say? You'd rather watch a good few hours of street beef than Jake Paul McGregor. I'd rather, the amount of things I'd rather watch than bloody Mayweather versus Jake Paul. Did I say Mayweather McGregor? I meant to say Jake Paul. Amount of things I'd rather watch. I'm mad. I'm mad to go back to pay-per-view events at the O2. I was at Parker versus White. I wish I'd went to that. I chose the Fury and Pianetta card instead. And it was all right. Actually, that was all right, that card. It wasn't great, but it was all right. It did the job. It pissed rain. I mean, Windsor Park has no real shutter on it. And I remember that day really, really well. It was absolutely sunny all day, not a hint of rain. The news even said there's only like a 30% chance of rain. And I mean, it didn't just rain. It was like a flipping typhoon that came down on Windsor Park. And we were absolutely soaked. Reckon Gassiev will be a handful in a couple of years. Still young, so he can take his time in the heavyweight division. Yeah, I think he needs to acclimatise himself to it. He definitely will need to acclimatise himself to it. But once he's acclimatised, Matt Gassiev can punch, physically strong, even at heavyweight. I think Gassiev could be in some interesting fights. I think him versus Dylan White is a good fight. Seriously, him versus guys like Rivas, they're good fights for Mark Gassiev. Be interesting in it. If you go US, you'd be in Billy Joe's camp with the coach, man. I'm looking for that. Would he be? See, I always get his name wrong, but would he be in Taylor's camp or Billy Joe's if they were both on the same night? That's my question. Because I know he helps out with both. Ajagba even said himself, yeah, 2 years. 2 years it takes. Yo, big up to Ra every single time, man. Big up to you, my man. Eubank is all out, no trousers, but he's made his choice. Phone's having a job. Use it, whatever it takes. Stay in the chat, mate. Stay in the chat. Whatever it takes. I'm missing loads and loads and loads of questions. Well, big up to my man Nick every single time. Big up G-Man and the chat. Hashtag G-Man's rocks. And smash the like button. Lads, if you could. It just helps the channel out. Right? That's what I will say. It just helps the channel out. If you could smash the like button, your boy would be greatly appreciated. Question for everyone in the right. We got 50 people in the chat, right? I have 2 questions actually, but they're both about the same fight. Derek Chisora has hinted at Joseph Parker being an option. Okay. He said he wants that fight unfinished business. Now, if we do get that fight, I reckon it's going to be on pay-per-view. Okay. A, would you pay for it? If the undercard was good, would you pay for it? And B, who you got in that fight? I think that fight's a lot more competitive than certain people are saying. So people are saying, oh, it's Joe Parker. I think that fight's a hell of a lot more competitive than people make it out to be. So I'll be interested to know what you guys think. Be very interested to know what you guys think, okay? And I know I missed a couple of chats there, so I want to catch up on a few. Where was I? Oh, no. Oh, thank God for that. I thought I got rid of the whole chat. Oh, thank God for that. Will you be at the casino's Huckleberry? I don't even know what that is, bro. Huckleberry's casino, man. I never, ever, ever, ever go to a casino. See, I don't mind casinos and stuff like that, but I never really, it's not something I ever really got into. Like, I very seldom do bets on things, to be honest. And I don't know why. Because I've actually been quite lucky in my life when I have done bets. I've always, not always won, but when I've won big. But it's not something I ever got into. I'm just a boring fuck. I don't drink that much alcohol and I never really got into betting. Just a boring. I just like boxing. Making videos, staying in the gym. I'm just a boring fuck. That's definitely how it is. Oh, yeah. Also, the Kill Cities fight showed a Jagba can be hit quite easily. That, to me, was such a worry. Was such a worry when he got dropped while that guy was going backward and was hurt. I mean, that, to me, is a worry. I don't like, when I see that happen, that, to me, is a worry. You don't think Allen been the same since the Price fight? I don't think he's been the same since the what fight was it? Since the Tony Oka fight. Because I don't think that Dave Allen has really been hit flush. Like, I mean, he took a beating off David Price and stuff like that, but he was never really hit crack clean by David Price with any serious shots. The minute Usyk landed a big shot on him, we saw what happens. You know? Very sad to see Dave Allen like that. You see, what you just said there, right? If only Dave Allen had a better team and coach. Yes and no. I think that you can only take a fighter so far, respect with their respective talent, right? So whilst I agree with you there, a different team and setup could have brought Dave Allen further. Some fighters we know, irrespective of who they have in the corner, they'll only get so far. But I think that Dave Allen, I can't remember what the actual coach he had's name was, but he trained with Adam Booth briefly. He trained, I think, did he train with Dominic Ingle briefly for a little stint? Not in a fight, but like in their gym. And for me, it was just like, this trainer, you might have a good relationship with him, but you don't have that much time in the game to make that much money. What about a trainer who will bring out the best in you? Who will? Now, I don't think Dave Allen and Adam Booth would have been a good fit, because I couldn't. Could you imagine Dave Allen fighting in Adam Booth style? I couldn't see that at all. Couldn't see that at all. But a different trainer for Dave Allen, could have paid dividends. Could have paid good dividends to Dave Allen. A trainer who I think doesn't get enough praise is Sean O'Hagan. Very, very good trainer. That's the trainer of Josh Warrington and Maxie Hughes. Big up to Maxie Hughes. I had him on the channel a few months ago. Big up to him. And big up to Byron as well. If a prime Mike Tyson fought Deontay Wilder, who do you think would win? I think Mike Tyson would win that. But I want to say relatively straightforward, to be fair. I don't think he'd take it relatively. So I think if Wilder uses, as you can see, Wilder's in my picture there. Mike Tyson, as good as Mike Tyson was, we've seen in certain fights, we've seen against Tony Tucker, we've seen against Bone Crusher Smith, a big guy, if they want to survive and lean on him and stuff like that, they can do that. So when people say he'd run through the heavyweight division today, I don't think so. Look what Klitschko did against Povetkin. You don't think he'd do that against Tyson? He could. And Tyson's not as big as Povetkin. He's not as heavy as Povetkin. Although the weight's not much of a difference, but that could happen as well. Can we just say RIP to Muhammad Hassan Khan, who died a couple of days ago in a charity bout? Wishing his family and friends peace at this time, 27, same age as me, Jesus. Probably far too young. I seen that. I actually seen a few people tweet about that. RIP to him. RIP to him. It was very sad. I seen it on Twitter, which was awful to see. It's never nice when we see that. And he's only 27, same age as me. It's always a wake-up call when I see guys like my age and stuff like that, die. It's like, whoa, that's like, whoa, that's not good. It's a bit of a wake-up call. Like, not that I don't box anymore, but you know what I mean. Dave Allen needs to stay out of the ring. He's taking tremendous punishment in fights and sparring. I remember being in the gym, in the boxing gym, about a year and a half ago. I'll be well over a year. It was actually probably the end of 2019. And someone who was in the same gym, he was only in, I think, a camp with Dave Allen once. He said that this was Dave Allen's own admission. And he said that, and I have no reason to doubt him, because he's been in camp with plenty of heavyweights. And he said that Dave Allen genuinely said that if he's sparring, he needs to take a couple of shots, hard shots, before he can really get warmed up and into it. That's not good at all when you hear that. I mean, that really, when you're hearing someone say they need to be hit repeatedly before they actually get into a fight or into a spar, that's not good. That's bizarre, actually. I mean, most people are like one shot and they're like, all right, I'll try and get hit as little as I can. When I watch Dave Allen fight, he takes punches. I think he needs to work on his defense. It's bad, right? When you watch a fighter, and even if they're only taking a few shots here and there, you start to worry a bit, because you're just like, oh, can that brain take many more of them shots? And I'm not saying that in a way of like being, a dick rat. I'm saying that in a case of, ooh, can that brain take many more shots? Give me a sec there, peeps. There we go. Just wanted to unplug the heater I have in here. They don't want to make too much noise. Man, I do body exercises with no gym, because all the gyms are closed. Try it, body weight exercise work. It's something people have told me about that for years, and it's something that I've never tried. And I actually wish I did, to be honest with you, because I know that there's definitely a lot of good in that. Which is, I should keep doing it, but see, I mainly just go and run. That's mainly what I do now. And when I'm in the gym, I just mainly do weights. You should always try 2-3 sessions an hour. Try include an hour gym, 2-3 sessions a week. You see, I don't do that. When the gyms are open, I just go until what I mean is I just go for an hour and a half and I go repeatedly until I get tired. So I could go 10, 12, maybe sometimes 2 weeks straight to the gym. No questions asked until I get tired. And then I'm like, I'll take a day off. That's probably not the right way to do it either, to be fair. That's probably not the best way to do it because you'll end up burning yourself out. But that's always been the way I do it. That's always been the way I've done it. Dave Allen's speech is all wrong. Yeah, you know, Dave Allen, to me, the way he talks, irrespective of his speech, right? I'm not talking about his speech, but his whole demeanor, the way he has that just real, you know, it's just, he has that whole kind of attitude of just feeling sorry for himself is probably the best way to describe it. That's, from speaking from experience, it's not going to do you much good. Speaking from experience. Big up to Zabel every time. Have you seen Alan's videos on him commentating his old fights? They're hilarious. He said Lou Ortiz stunk of what? Weathers originally, and he had stubble. Like, Jesus Christ, man, I am missing so many comments. Oh my God, lads, apologies if I've missed your comment. No, I don't follow Dave Allen or any of them or anything like that. Yeah, if you could, lads, just asking. Just asking. Just asking. You want Fury to win, but believe Fury beats him 60% of the time. What I love about this fight is that no one has a definitive answer on this fight. No one has a definitive answer on Fury versus Wilder. I think Fury will win, or Fury versus Joshua, I mean. I think Fury will win personally. Am I convinced? Hell no. Do I think it'd be easy? Hell no. Right? But it's likewise if someone says Fury's going to win easy, I'd be like, well, hang on a minute. He ain't going to win this fight easy. As vice versa for Anthony Joshua. It's like, ain't going to win that fight easy. No way. No way. It's going to be a tough ask for both guys. I believe fully it's going to be a tough ask. You'd also watch Canelo's fight. It'd be easy to get footage of Taylor versus... Yeah, it will, actually. It will. It will. Oh, my good Lord, it will. Oh, my good Lord, it will. Makes me glad that I didn't touch Don King's card as well. Remember Don King's card? You could have got footage that easy, but they all ended up getting the copyright. I mean, that was crazy. That Mark Unrivaled, shout out to Unrivaled every time. If he's not in the chat, shout out. He beat Don King. He beat Don King. You know, he got that copyright strike overturned. He beat Don King. And lads, we're speaking of Dave Allen, right? And where I thought he was in the chat there a second ago. Maybe it's not updated on my end, but there we go. Speaking of Dave Allen, Dave Allen's last brain cell says, you're selling Avon now if anyone's interested. Ah, savage, lads. Absolutely savage. Do I know they made a video on Don King? I do. I know they made a video on Don King, or I made a film on Don King. I'm doing a bit of research on Don King now for the month of February. You know where I'm going with this, by the way. You know where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this with Don King, with the month of February. You know where I'm going with this. Right, I'm just a bit worried it might get copyrighted, actually, or Don King might take it down. I'm worried. Like even Dell was saying last night, he's a bit worried now about that Don King video he posted yesterday. Big up to Kelvin Taylor, G-Man Boxing. What's good? God bless, brother. Big up to you, man. Every time. Big up to you every time. That was it. Don King only in America. Only in America. Don King is just. I mean, I've never. Oh Jesus. And as I said, why anyone would side with Don King nowadays is just insanity. It's insanity. Ben versus Vargas predictions. I'm definitely taking Conor Ben. On points. on points. I think Vargas's game, he's tough, he can survive. But I'm going with, I'd be very impressed if Ben does stop him. Very impressed. Don King has killed 2 men. He has. What was he killed one guy. I forget how he did it, over debt. So he owed Don King money, and he done he did what he needed to do. That sounded, but you know what he did. I don't mean that in a sense. Don King did what he had to do, or not. I'm saying it all wrong. Don King killed. I'm trying to keep it as good as I can for YouTube. And then another guy, he kicked the guy to death or something. He's killed 2 people. One was justifiable homicide, was ruled justifiable homicide. The other was ruled self-defense. So that's Don King in a nutshell. You know about the Rumble in the Jungle fight with Don King? 5 million. Yeah. No. I know. Oh, I know all about Don King. I'm learning more and more every day. Don King still in the game, stealing purses. Yeah, I'd be surprised if Bermain Stavern and Trevor Bryant even got paid yet. Ali and Tyson, amongst others, agree with the hate Don King. Ali, Tyson, Witherspoon, I think Jones. Who else? There is loads and loads and loads of people who've all... And you see, that's why I keep saying it. There's no excuse to be signing with Don King. There's just no excuse these days. He puts on no shows. It's known what the guy is like. I mean, Bob Arum is like, Archangel Gabriel compared to Don King. And that's saying something. Yeah, Don King, yeah, he did. That was the second guy, I think. You think the power, do you think the power in boxing will let Canelo get an undisputed fight at 160? I reckon so. They might try and pull a bit of shenanigans with making Canelo get like some kind of long-term deal. But I reckon that, I reckon they will. I reckon they'll let him get the fight then. What do I think of Alan Babich versus Lucas Brown? I think it's better than him versus Shondell Winters. I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm still fairly sure that Alan Babich definitely there's a lot of things that are not quite there with Alan Babich. Like, I like watching him, don't get me wrong. I think he's great fun, he's value for money, but I just don't think that I think his style is getting him injured, I predict. Well, I know. And I just don't think he's big enough ever. I think he's too wide open when he comes in. He bores in, and I can just see him getting countered, tagged, and either outpointed or stopped. That's what I can see happening, maybe even this year. E-Machine, shout out to you. You pay for the Parker. If they put Parker, and I reckon what they'll do is, if they put Parker and Chisora on the same card, they might try and get Kanzu on as well. They might try and get Kanzu and Warrington on, just to make it a kind of, look what we have. They won't just do that as standalone. They'll try and stack the undercard up a bit, I predict anyway. Parker is a slow starter. No, not necessarily. I've seen him start. I thought he started fine against Dylan White. I thought he started faster against Dylan White. But until the headbutt went in, because you look at the first 2 rounds, he was making Dylan White look pedestrian-like until he got headbutted. And then that was kind of the beginning of the end. But Parker UD, close UD though. Close UD. Parker wins a UD, not worth paying for. Yeah, it depends if they have a decent undercard, but I'll probably be watching that old Kraken fight some other way. You definitely pay. Okay. Think Parker on points. He's been found wanting twice in the AJ and the White fights. He knows it's going to be a dog fight again. I think he'll have a point to prove. As do I. I think he will have a point to prove himself. But I just wonder, will he have... You see, the AJ fight, I mean, that was a stinker. But the Dylan White fight, and I always feel if we get an improved Parker who has a bit more dog in him, he beats Dylan White. I do think if that rematch happened, I don't know. I think I'd be favouring. I probably would pick Joseph Parker to win the rematch. Want Dylan White to win, but I can see Parker winning it. Or not, you want Chisora to win, but you can see Parker winning it. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that Parker's punching power is actually not too bad. I think he just maybe just isn't able to land it consistently. I think he needs to load up on the shots. You hear when he lands, he does always have, there's always that big thud. I think he's explosive, Joseph Parker. Problem with Chisora is he gets gassed. He needs to lose 2 stone. Yeah, you see, David Haye has made him look aesthetically better, but he's added a lot of muscle onto him. And I don't know if that's the right thing. I think he needs to get some of that muscle off now, personally. Wouldn't pay Parker by... Oh, really? Reese going with Parker by late stoppage. That's an interesting one. Well, that's an interesting pick. Parker by late stoppage. Okay. You always want Parker to put his opponent away, but he doesn't have the pop. I think it's not even the pop. I think it's the dog. They've always had a glasses half arse attitude. Yeah, he did. And that's not, see, that attitude is not going to get you anywhere, mate. Like, I've always felt like with me, when things were going wrong in the past, I had that kind of glasses, kind of half arse attitude. Ever since I got rid of that, things been going a lot better. Hell of a lot better. So, you know, I think that's Dave Allen. I don't see Dave. See, with me, right? I found a few things that really keep me going, if you know what I mean. You know, even if I don't necessarily have them yet, they keep me going. And I think that Dave Allen needs something like that. I think he needs something like that. Yeah, don't agree with me. I think Parker has good power. He's explosive, not concussive power, but respectable enough to keep opponents hurt. Yeah, I definitely think Parker's power is under. People, I don't think he's able to land it consistently, but when you hear him land, there is punching power there, definitely. There is punching power there. Also, Boot would give Allen full commitment. Probably not. No, probably not. Probably not. I don't think that fight would. Parker minds you about Floyd Patterson, but lacks power like Patterson. Well, he definitely doesn't have Patterson's chin, I tell you that much. He's got a better chin than Floyd Patterson ever did. I mean, Floyd Patterson got bounced up and down off the canvas by so many guys. Joe Parker would lot. Oh, yeah. Alan Babbage. I would pick Parker comfortably every day of the week over Babbage. Wilder hasn't got enough jab to keep Tyson off, in your opinion? No. His jab's not bad, though, Deontay Wilder. His jab's not bad, but against Fury, no, sir. No, that jab was not on par. You'd love Parker versus Del Boy on the AJ undercard. Now that'd be a great fight for the undercard. That'd be a great fight on the undercard. I think Parker's ego was bruised from the pullout. Yeah, the spider bite, you know. He wanting to take over from Tobey Maguire, you know, the new Tobey Maguire, Joe Parker. And he's talking about more aggressive. Could work the Delta advantage, but you can him talking about being more aggressive, this, that, and the other. That's all well and good. We need to actually see it. We need to see it in the ring. 52 in the chat now. If you could, like, how many likes do we have on this video? I don't like always asking, but how many do we have? 36. If we could get this to 40 likes, I'd be a happy G. Be a very happy G. Oh, what? At 140, man. Canelo would never, even at 154, would never get to 147. If they somehow managed to do it at 160, maybe like 162, I'd still pick Canelo every day to win. But never. He's never going to get to one, not even close. He's never going to be in the 150 region again. Never. Eubanks here used to get hit on purpose in sparring. He said he needed to feel pain so he could get through a fight. Some people are like that. Seriously, like that. I think that's what they said about Dave Allen, that they needed to feel, I don't know whether it is, maybe it just switches something on in their head and they're like, right, now it's time to fight. I don't know. But bizarre, I mean, I don't know. Strange things. G-Man, you need to do some pull-ups on a scaffolding. Well, there is no scaffoldings around me. There's none near me. But I have done pull-ups in the past and they are good. TRX. I just never liked TRX. When I worked in the gym, I used to have to do it and teach. I didn't like doing it or teaching it. Well, I didn't like teaching anything, to be honest with you. I used to just like one-on-ones. I didn't like teaching people the classes. I was the one thing about working in the gym I used to hate. I used to absolutely hate that. Brown is a step up. He's a year younger than you. Brown, how old is Brown now? He's like 40, 41. If Babbage heals properly, I think Babbage. Yeah, I'd go with Babbage too. but I think it'd be an interesting fight. I think it'd be more competitive than the last three, definitely. Calisthenics are the best. Less strain over the body. Years go by. I've been lucky. In all my years of training. I've never had a major injury. I think I've had a few little pains here and there from maybe lifted incorrectly the odd time, but other than that, I've never really had a major injury ever. He's from Doncaster, man. I don't even know where I know Doncaster is kind of like northern UK, is it? It's kind of more northern region of the UK. It was something like that, but I've never been. I don't know where the hell it is. UK, my geography of the UK is not amazing. It's not amazing. I know like this. I know the south of the UK better than the north. Yeah, I know the south of the UK a lot better than I would the north. So I would. The north is kind of I don't know it. I simple as don't know the north. I know. Yeah, I don't know the north at all, really. What we think? Because I read a few of these already. And move it down. Oh, yeah, there we go. You think the PBC keep planting Benavidez away for Canelo? I don't know. They might get Plant in there. I would comfortably pick Canelo over Plant. I think Plant's the easiest at 168. Seriously. No disrespect, but the guy, I just don't rate the guy. I just don't. I think Canelo will beat him into oblivion. Yeah, I don't know. He didn't die after. He was found dead after. He died a couple of years later. I think it was suicide. But I remember the fan, man. Yeah, they done a sketch in The Simpsons about that. But I remember that. But I think he died years later, though. You don't think Canelo will become undisputed at 160 if he had to fight Benavidez and Ramirez when they were champions? Yeah, no, Ramirez and Benavidez. Benavidez, I'm not sure. But Ramirez, I like Gilberto Ramirez. I do. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't know. He just the Jesse Hart fights, and then what has he done since? He's just been kind of there, but not doing anything. Right, G-Man. I was surprised with that fight. I wouldn't recommend anyone to sign. Sign to him, rather sign with Top Rank. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. Like seriously, I think I said it last night. If you were a prospect, didn't have much of an amateur career, didn't have much of this, didn't have much of that, and you had a choice, Don King giving you $100,000 to sign with him, or a small hall promoter offering you a couple of grand to fight, take the small hall promoter, because at least then you can work way up to bigger and better things. But if Don King, I mean, gee, that's not good. You might get $100,000, but you'll end up having to fork out a couple of $100,000 in the long run. G-Man, you think Billy Joe Saunders has a good chance of beating Canelo? I give him a chance. I do. He's staying in shape, but I think if he was at 160, I'd give him a better chance. I think that at 168, I've said it before, he's not as fast. His foot speed is noticeably slower. And people with fast feet who can move around the ring quite well, they tend to give Canelo the bigger problems. Right? They do tend to. Right? But I do give him a chance. Honest opinion on AJ versus Fury. My honest opinion is it's a very competitive fight. I will say this now, as it stands, I will be picking Tyson Fury to win the fight by mid to late round stoppage. Right? Do I think that it's going to be easy? Nope, not in a million years do I think it's going to be easy. All right, I don't think it'll be easy at all. But I think that it'll be a very good fight, though. I do. And I'm going with Fury. Parker never sits on his shots. He's on his toes. Yeah. When he does plant his feet the odd time, when you do plant it, you can see there is a bit of power there, but he needs to just set his feet. Like if you look at Eubank Jr. when he knocked out Avni Yildirim, look at how glued his feet were to the canvas. You know, people say Eubank Jr. is not a big puncher, but look at his feet. He had them feet planted to the canvas. Right? So that is how he's able to generate power. And if you become a flat-footed fighter, because someone's asked about Parker's going to a flat-footed fighter, there are some benefits to being a flat-footed fighter. You're always on balance to throw power shots. That is one benefit of being someone who's a little bit flat-footed. Virgil Ortiz on the big rise. Virgil Ortiz is Virgil Ortiz is one of my favorite prospects. I think he is absolutely fantastic. Virgil Ortiz. Parker fights good a lot. He is safe. He's got to let it go. Yeah, you can't just take a gamble and be like, it's going to be this, it's going to be no. You gotta keep going. You gotta put these guys down. You know. Hey, G-Man, best regards from Ian Shakur. Big up. Jordan Reynolds training with Pete Taylor. He's ready. Jordan Reynolds. The name don't ring a bell, but big up to Pete Taylor. Katie Taylor's dad. Pete Taylor's a decent trainer. Very good trainer, actually. Big up to Pete Taylor. I disagree. All about the GGB bout. I'm digging your style. Funniest guy in boxing has to be Broner or O'Hara Davis. Do you remember during the height of the lockdown last year? The height of the lockdown. You had O'Hara Davis and Anthony Fowler going at it on social media. That was hilarious. Like the two most like unlikable guys. Oh man, that was funny. Joe be good at cruiserweight. He'd be very good at cruiserweight. He's naturally a heavyweight. You know, if he was lean and shredded, he'd still be in the. It'd be too much of an ask. Babbage shouldn't even be getting recognition. I don't know what he does have that bit of. You see, here's the thing you need to remember: boxing, and this is always the way. It's the way it is with a lot of things in life. Boxing sometimes can be about your character more so than your skill. Like you could be a fighter who's like, look at Dave Allen. He built that cult following. And he was not the best fighter. He didn't have, amazing amateur background. He wasn't the best, in, British level or, Commonwealth or anything like that. But he was able to get that following. And the promoters are looking at that and thinking, hang on a minute, you're getting this following. I'm putting you on my shows because you're putting bums in seats when we're allowed seats. And even at home, people are tuning in to watch. Whereas if I get, this amateur fresh out of the amateurs, he's won a few things, he's done good, he's done this, he's done that. That's all well and good. But, who is he? Is he going to put bums in seats? Is he going to sell these? He's not. So I see what they're doing. Like if you look at someone like Michael Hunter is better than Alan Babbage. Probably better than Babbage will ever be. But Michael Hunter doesn't have that cult following. He doesn't have that supportive fan base. I say supportive, but it doesn't have that fan base. So therefore, Eddie Hearn was like, okay, well, see you later, but I'll keep Alan Babbage, right? Because when you're watching him fight, as I said, he's putting bums in seats. So that's why, in my opinion, Alan Babbage is getting this recognition. And I think depending on the because I think he will lose sooner or later, but I think depending on the nature of the loss, if he gets absolutely blown out of the water, that could be an issue. But if he loses in a competitive fight on points or something like that, not the end of the world. Man, I'm not going to say it. I'm just popping it on screen. I'm not going to say it, but I'm just popping it on screen. You put money on Bivol outpointing Beterbiev. We need to see how Beterbiev looks in his next fight. We definitely do. We need to see how Artur Beterbiev looks in his next fight. That for me is a definite, because he's not getting any younger. I think that it's sad to say that he may have already had his best years, and his best years may have been when he was inactive. I'm talking 2016, 2018, 2019. They may have been the best years for Beterbiev. And I hope it's not the case. I hope there is still some good work still there left in him. But we need to really see how he looks. We definitely need to see how he looks. You want to see Tank Davis. Man, big up to Tank Davis. Big up to Tank Davis. Big up to Louis. Hey everyone, first time on G-Man stream. Well, hope you're enjoying it, bro. I hope you're enjoying it. We still have a bit of time left, I normally do these between an hour to an hour and a half, and I'm still in the talking zone, so have no fear. I'm not cutting it off just yet. Don't worry about that. I just need to get a drink. Beterbiev is at the age when when his physical skills can drop off overnight. Exactly. You know, they say that when you hit like that kind of mid-30s, you know, you could have one really good performance, then all of a sudden overnight, you're just that fraction of a second slower. Your time is just a little bit off. It can just happen overnight. And at world level, that can make a big difference. No. Oh, no. I don't want it. Abner Mares, when's the last time he fought? When he lost to Santa Cruz a couple of years ago? They were talking about that fight for a while. I think Mares pulled out because of an eye injury. I will bet no. Gee, man, you reckon Hearn should be cheap? Oh man. Well, I can't see Eddie Hearn putting Jarrell Miller on any card if he gets licensed again. So no. And Christopher Lovejoy, we can't go through a stream without mentioning that guy. Do you know that? I mean, Christopher Lovejoy, he's fighting this weekend, apparently. He's never been paid for one of his fights. I doubt the validity of a lot of those fights. If you look at his box rec, and you look at some of the guys, and you look at the weights and everything, Lovejoy is the ultimate chancer. I see what he's trying to do. He's obviously trying to get a payday. And when I say payday, maybe 10, 15 grand or something like that against someone and just sail off into the sunset, because from what the little footage there is of him, he doesn't look great. He don't look great. He just don't look great. I don't know, man. Gee, man, what about Bolotniks? How do you see him faring against the others in the division? I like him. I like him a lot. Bolotniks was really, if you look at his resume, look at his record going into that Golden Contract tournament, he was seen as kind of the easy pick, wasn't he? He was seen as, oh, you take him, you've got the easy pick. Well, he goes and he knocks out Stephen Ward, he beats Hosea Burton, and then he beats, was it Sergio or Sergey Michel or something was the guy's name? He looked great in all of his fights. He is someone where he really is. He's one of those fighters who has a record with a few losses, but is deceivingly very good. He could cause some trouble a lot next. He's very good. He really is. He's very, very good. I mean, I like his interview where he won the Golden Contract and he's just waving at the camera. He's like, I'm going to go drink beer and eat pizza. I was like, this guy's funny. This guy is cool. So yeah, no, he's likable, definitely. And I hope he makes an absolute killing. I think it's a 3-fight deal with Top Rank. I hope he makes an absolute killing from that. I really do. I hope he makes an absolute rake of cash from those fights with Top Rank. I really, really do. No need to be done, although I've no idea. I don't. Al Heyman, Nick, is what I reckon. That's why I reckon he's still champion at 126. Al Heyman. Certain Al Heyman still has that title. I mean, that WBA, like WBA making Pac-Man champion in recess and moving you guys up to, yeah, well, that makes sense. That does make sense. But Jesus Christ, man. Some of the decisions they made, I swear to, oh man, I just, like, have you seen the top 10 of the heavyweight rankings? Bogdan Dinu at number 3. Bermain Stavern at 11. Ariola at number 9. Come on. Come on, people. That's not nice. That's the best way I'll call it. I'll just say it like that. That's not very nice. Let's go, champ. Hashtag G-Mans rocks every time. Not been able to catch many live streams and get them on to catch up, enjoying the positivity tonight. Yeah, I'm in a good mood tonight, I'm in a good mood most nights, bro. To be honest with you. These days I'm flying high, Hopefully it stays that way, man. Because I've been through some absolute shite the last year. A lot of it is my own fault. It has to be said. A lot of it's my own fault. But I've been through some absolute shit. I don't want to go through that again. And I'm hoping better things are coming. And I'm thinking they are. I just have that feeling they will. I don't know why. I don't know why. They just will. Sometimes you just, you just got to have a bit of faith. WBA, a sanctioned body with 4 belts per division. WTF, considering it's the oldest. I know, it's bizarre. It's like, what the hell? Like, and who was number 9? Chris Ariola's number 9. Chris Ariola. He's not won a fight in 2 years, nearly 2 years. And his last fight was in 2019. And he's number 9. I mean, like, Bogdan Dinu is ahead of guys like Filip Hrgovic. He's ahead of guys like Michael Hunter. So is Chris Ariola. I mean, it just... I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And how did old boxers like John L. Sullivan fight for like 30 rounds without getting injured? With John L. in the bare knuckle days, it was a bit like, I don't want to say like MMA, but you could do 30 rounds, but a round would end the minute you dropped someone, although it was quite vicious. They used to give them... I remember watching a documentary, I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but they done like a reenactment of Jay Kilrain versus John L. And they were like saying that during the... Oscar Wilde was at that fight, believe it or not. Allegedly, anyway. But they said that basically they would give them whiskey in between rounds, this, that, and the other. In all honesty, when they did move to rounds, as in like the round system, the Queensberry rules, a lot of those fights, if you see footage of the old fights, like Stanley Ketchel and stuff like that, they were fought at very slow paces. Like, I mean, Stanley Ketchel was a middleweight, by the way, in the 1910s. He's dead, actually. He died in 1910, actually. He was murdered, was Stanley Ketchel. He was murdered in a robbery that went wrong. Stanley Ketchel, I think he knocked the guy out like the 40-something round. But they fought at a very slow pace, They would literally probe and throw big shots. But if you ever watch if you ever see some of the old footage, I mean, those guys were in absolute pieces. There's no mouthpiece, no anything. I mean, they just went in there and just got battered. I think they used to use 4-ounce gloves. Seriously, 4-ounce gloves. 4-ounce gloves they used to use. But like fighters like John L. But see, John L. didn't live very long because he lived an absolutely ridiculously unhealthy lifestyle. I mean, look at the pictures of John L. in later life. He's grossly... He was in his 50s and he looked like he could have been in his 70s, He was an alcoholic for much of his career. That's a fact, by the way. He was trained, they said, by a wrestler in the 1880s. And they said that the saloon, like, he had to go and search every saloon in the evening to see if John L. was there, because he would just go in and just drink whiskey until, like it was going out of fashion. So that was what went wrong. A lot of those fighters were badly unhealthy back then. And I don't mean by boxing, I mean by just the way they lived their lives. They were extremely unhealthy. They were extremely, extremely unhealthy. Where are we at? I'm missing questions here, left, right, and center, waiting to see. Oh. Going to have to shimmy in a minute. 11 till same. Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. Going to keep watching, but may have to go shortly. I'm probably going to do another few minutes. And I'll probably get it to the hour and 20. What the hell is going on with boxing? As Telvin says there. Jimson, is it appropriate to call box over 30 prospects? Yeah, I would say, yeah, sure, they're only turning over. I mean, seriously, I mean, plenty of fighters. Many of them will get like fast track, but Joe Joyce was 33, and he was still considered a prospect, and he was WBA gold champion. I've no idea how the hell that happened. So that was, I've no idea. I've no idea how the hell that happened. I literally have no idea. Yeah, you've seen pictures of John L. where he's fat. Yeah, he was grossly overweight. Like, I mean, no wonder he died. He died at like 58, I think, John L. I mean, no wonder. Yeah, it was 4-ounce gloves until 1909. I know a lot. Imagine that, using 4-ounce gloves in boxing. And these guys are trained, to box. Imagine getting hit with 4-ounce gloves in a 45-round fight. Crazy. And you could knock the shit out of guys back then. I mean, literally, there were no 3 knockdown rules, no neutral corner rules. Look at Jack Dempsey when he knocked out Jess Willard. I mean, seriously. And the referee is just looking at Jess Willard getting battered in the corner. And then he's just like, yeah, keep it going. They actually had to pull Jess Willard out of that fight. That was in 1919. 4th of July, 1919. Have I seen? Yeah. No, I don't. He's talking about it. Like, he's kind of alluding to the return, but I don't think he will. Well, no, actually, I said, oh, sorry. What was it? I don't think he will. I said, I think he will win. Sorry, that was my bad. He will win, or he will return. Because I reckon that he's not ready to call it quits yet. But I don't know, man. I don't think he should personally, but I reckon he will. I think going back to fights 15 rounds should be considered. I don't know what they go back to 15 round. They haven't done a 15 rounder. I mean, Mike Tyson was in a scheduled 15 rounder against Biggs. That was never going to go 15 rounds. When was the last official 15 rounder? I think it was in the late 80s. And it was, I forget who it was, but I think the WBC, was it WBC or the IBF? It was, I forget which sanctioning body were the last to change to 12 rounders. Can't remember, but it was one of them. The WB, was it WB? I think it was the IBF actually that were the last to change to 15 rounders, because Larry Holmes versus Spinks was 15 rounder. That was for the IBF, I think. Dempsey Willard was a massacre. Yeah, it was. That was just painful. Jesus. I can only imagine what that would have looked like. Like, imagine today. Imagine like an Adam Smith or someone commentating on that fight. How he'd be crazy. We're going to say Jack Dempsey. Yeah, I love Jack Dempsey. Why do you think they're making all these other belts? Sanctioning fees, simple as. Sanctioning fees is completely all I think of when I see these fights, because it's like you fighter A, fighter B, put them in a fight. At the WBC, they'd be able to be like, stick this little belt on the line and give us a couple of grand. Yep, we're happy. That's all it's for. They don't mean anything. Like, I mean, when you're considering, like, you have Northeast. I think the IBF have one of them, like an East or West title, interim, like regional title. It's like, come on now. Appreciate the video, G-man. Take care. Edmund O later chat. Big up, man. Big up, love AH8. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Quick, that's a good question, actually. If Andre Ward came back, how do you think he'd fare against Canelo 175? Andre Ward at this stage, I think Andre Ward, even at 175 when he was fighting Kovalev, was past it. Not massively past it, but I don't think that was him at his peak. 3 years on, nearly 4 years. I don't know. But a prime Andre Ward, I'd pick him over Canelo every single day. The last heavyweight 50, yeah, I know, but I think there was other 15 rounders as well in the other divisions. Biggs versus Tyson. I mean, that was a massacre. That was always going to happen. It was the 7th round, I think he actually stopped Tyson in, or he stopped Biggs in. That was purely Biggs. That was just purely Biggs looking shocking in his career. I mean, Biggs was looking shot very early on. I remember when he fought, and I watched the fight only recently, but I can't remember the guy's name. Ronaldo Snipes. And he hurt Snipes really, really bad. And he didn't finish him. And he ended up having a pretty close fight with Ronaldo Snipes. He had no killer instinct. And then he fought David Bay. And he was on the verge of getting stopped in that fight. And he rallied back late and he beat David Bay. So the Duvas, they knew Biggs had serious problems with drugs. Like, serious. He was, by his own admission, he was spending over $1,000 a day on drugs. He was in car crashes. He had injuries. I mean, Bay was just David Bay was just like or not David Bay. I mean, Tyrell Biggs was just, he was finished well before he got in the ring with Tyson. I mean, he may have been finished even before David Bay. He may have been finished when he fought Ronaldo Snipes. And the Dubas knew that. And you're having struggling fights with David Bay, Ronaldo Snipes. Imagine he fought, like, some of the fringe guys at the time would have been guys like Oliver McCall, Buster Douglas. If he'd fought one of them, he'd have definitely lost, in my opinion. In my opinion, anyway. And they had an undefeated David Bay. They were trying to market him as, you know, undefeated Olympian. And that was really it. That was the Duvas making a bit of money off Bay. And look what happened, or keep calling him Bay, making a bit of money off Biggs. And look what happened after he lost his next 3 fights. He lost to Damiani in his next fight on the cut. The cut that was opened up by David Bay. He ended up losing on that, on cuts. G-Man, who you pick? Definitely Josh Taylor. Definitely Josh Taylor. Although it's a great fight. Would you ever do a live reaction on stream? Let's say, I've thought about it a few times. But it's always a worry to me when I see guys get them taken down, like D and Mark with copyrights. It's always a bit of a worry to me. I don't want that to happen to me. Because I don't want a copyright strike. I thought about it, but probably not anytime soon. You think Calzaghe's legacy is slightly tarnished due to the fact he waited until Jones were past it? He keeps using the excuse he didn't want to fight outside Wales. Yeah, he could have fought those guys a lot earlier, but I still think Joe Calzaghe doesn't get enough credit. He's a great fighter, Joe Calzaghe. You know, an absolutely fantastic fighter. So I love Joe Calzaghe. So I'll always give him credit. Do I think, look, would I have picked him against Jones or Hopkins in their primes? No. But that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. But not big up to Joe Calzaghe every time. Lads and lassies, I'm going to call this stream here. Been on a little over an hour and 20. I probably ain't going to do another one of these till Sunday. I'm just going to call it here until Sunday evening-ish, around about 5, 6, probably 6. I will go and do another one then, maybe 5 or 6. But I've enjoyed the hell out of this stream. Big up to everyone in it. And I've been lucky. I got no names wrong this stream. I didn't have to struggle with any simple names. I'm pretty sure I got all your names spot on this time, because I had some major issues with a name on Sunday. And no issues tonight, thank God for that. So lads, big up, lads and lassies, big up to everyone. Big up to everyone. Big up to Louis. Actually, it's your first stream, so you'll look at it again. But big up to you. Lads, we'll call it quits here. I'm going to record some videos for tomorrow. Love, peace, and happiness to you all. Man, big up to Penny every time. Thank you for that. Big up to G-Man. Drop a like on the way out. Definitely drop a like on the way out. Nice one. Big up. Thanks for all. Yeah, lads, definitely we get a video out tomorrow. We get 2 videos out tomorrow, actually. There's 2 things I want to talk about. Big up to Nick every time. Smash the like button on the way out. Absolute pleasure as always, lads. But yeah, I want to record some videos for you guys tomorrow, and we'll work on it from there. So you'll see me in some videos, but I'll talk to you all Sunday. Peace, people. And by the way, wish you all the best for the rest of the week. Hope you all have a great week, and I hope you are all good. I hope you are all keeping well. Big up to everyone. Peace.